day to all our students. So for this lecture video, we will be discussing about the application problems, specifically optimization. So for our objectives in this lecture video, okay, at the end of the discussion or this lecture video, so at least the students are expected to first is to establish the concept of extreme value theorem or yung ating EVT using the derivatives. Second is to determine clearly applications of different or differentiations in real life situations. And of course, lastly, to solve situational problems involving optimization and related rates. Pero hindi na natin i-discuss yung related rates. Ano po? So we'll focus on optimization. Okay? So ano ba yung mga optimization problems natin? Okay po. So before we proceed with these problems about optimization, let us first recall, okay, the definition of extremum. Okay? So we have made mention when we discussed extreme value theorem or extremum that we let f be the function that is continuous on an open interval I containing x sub 0. Okay? We also say that an extremum of f occurs at x sub 0 if either the maximum or the minimum occurs at x sub 0 or yung ating mga tinatawag critical values. Okay? So, kailan tayo nagkakaroon ulit ng maximum value? Okay? Recall ulit natin. So, we let f be a function that is continuous on an open interval I containing x sub 0. Now, we say that the maximum occurs at x sub 0 if the value f of x sub 0 is the largest among all other function values or functional values on the given interval. That is, f of x sub 0 is greater than or equal to f of x for all x elements or elements of the given interval or all the values in the given interval. Okay? When we say also minimum value, okay? Kung yung maximum siya yung largest, sa minimum po siya yung smallest among all other functional values. That is within the given interval. Okay? So, you may refer or review, okay, to the absolute minimum value on the given interval. Okay? So before we proceed, let's have first the following reminders. Okay? So proper ways of stating terms. First is an extremum of f occurs at x sub 0. Okay, so f has an extremum at x equal to x sub 0. And x sub 0, f of x sub 0, or the ordered pair x sub 0, f of x sub 0 is an extreme point, okay, of f. Also, f of x sub 0 is an extreme value of the given function. Also, take note that an extremum point may not be unique. Okay? We may have several extreme points. Okay? Even minimum points, pwede din tayo magkaroon ng several minimum points. Depende sa given na function. Okay? So, if that's the case, how do we minimize or maximize something? Okay? Now, in doing either maximization or minimization, okay, we do optimization. Okay? So we have the so-called critical points. Okay? So critical points, or we define critical points as we let f be a function that is continuous on an open interval containing x sub 0. So we say that x sub 0 is a critical point of f if f prime of x sub 0 is equal to 0 or f prime of x sub 0 does not exist. Okay? That is f has a corner or a pointed end at x sub 0, f of x sub 0. Okay? So, paano ba natin hinahanap yung mga critical points? Okay? Let's have some examples. Okay? Sabi dito, find all the critical points of the given function f. Given for number 1, we have f of x equal to 5x minus 3, f of x equal to x squared minus 20x plus 100. And number 3, we have f of x equal to x cubed minus x squared minus x minus 10 minus 10. Okay? So the first thing that we have to do, okay, to solve the critical point or points of the given function, we have first to find, okay, the first derivative. Okay? Sulat ko dito yung steps. Okay? Steps in determining the critical points of a given function. Okay? So first is to find the first derivative. Okay? Paano natin malalaman kung first derivative yan? Take note, we have made mention that etong prime na to or yung kudlit dyan sa function means that we are getting or determining the first derivative. Okay? Second step is to equate the first derivative to 0. Okay? Equate the first derivative to 0. Okay? Dalawa lang yung steps natin para ma-identify yung critical points ng isang function. Okay? Let's have first number 1. Dito ako sa sunod na slide po. So we have, the first function is, number 1 is f of x equal to 5x minus 3. Balikan ko nga kung tama. 5x minus 3. If we will be determining the first derivative, di ba, following the rules of differentiation, so we have the first or the derivative of the function 5x minus 3 is equal to 5. Tama? Now, sabi sa second step, equate the first derivative to 0. So we have 0 equals 5. Pero alam natin na ang 0 ay hindi naman equal sa 5. So these are not equal. So ibig sabihin, ang sagot sa number 1, since ang tinatanong sa atin ay critical values, the answer in number 1 is that there is no critical points. There are no critical points. Okay? Since 0 is not equal to 5. Let's have number 2. Sa number 2, ano yung question sa number 2? So x squared plus x squared minus 20x. So f of x equal to x squared minus 20x plus ba? Plus 100. Okay? So in this case, okay, follow the steps. First is to determine the first derivative of the given function. So using the rules of differentiation, yung first term, yung derivative ng first term is 2x. Yung derivative ng second term ay negative 20. Derivative of a constant is 0. Okay po. So equate the first derivative of the function to 0. So this will be equal to 0, equal to 2x minus 20. Okay? So since merong constant, pwede nating ilipat yung constant sa kabilang side ng equation. So this will become 20 equals to x. Dividing both sides by 2, since we are solving for x, so this will be x equals 10. Okay, so the critical point, okay, the critical point of the given function x squared minus 20x plus 100 is at x equals 10. Okay, the critical point or the critical value of the second function is at x equals 10. Okay. Next example. My second example, we have x cubed, x squared. Okay. So number 3, f of x is equal to x squared, x cubed minus x squared minus x minus 10. Tama ba? Minus 10. Okay? So first step is to determine the first derivative. The derivative of the first term is 3x squared. The derivative of the second term is 2x. The derivative of the third term is negative 1. The derivative of negative 10 is 0. Okay? Since we have a quadratic function, or yung value ng second derivative is a quadratic. Okay, so all we have to do is to determine the factors of 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay? So we have here, the possible factors would be, equate muna natin pala sa 0. So this will be equal to, or 0 is equal to 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. Okay, so 0 equal to x, wait lang ano. So we have x minus 1, kasi negative 1 yung nasa huli. Wait. Let me first erase this. Okay. So we have 3x. So we have x here. Then, so minus 1 dito. Plus 1. Okay? So we have the factors 3x plus 1 times the quantity x minus 1. Okay? So to determine the critical values, okay, all we have to do is to equate the factors 3x plus 1 and x minus 1 to 0. So we have 3x plus 1 equals 0, and we have x minus 1 equals 0. So we have 3x equals negative 1 and x is equal to positive 1. Ito yung ating unang critical point. Then we have also x equal to negative 1/3. So in example number 3, we have two critical points. Okay. We have x equal to negative 1/3 and x equal to positive 1. So we have two critical values. Ano po? For number 3. So that is how we determine the critical values of a given function. Okay? Sige, let's have the Fermat's theorem. Okay? So sabi sa Fermat's theorem, we let f be a continuous, or we let f be continuous on an open interval I containing x sub 0. So if f has an extremum at x sub 0, then x sub 0 must be the critical point of f. Okay? Sabihin, okay, using the extreme value theorem and the concept of derivative, we let f be a function which is continuous on a closed and bounded interval AB Then the extreme values, maximum and minimum of f, okay, always exist. And they occur either at the endpoints or at the critical points of f. Okay? Di ba kanina ang kinuha lang natin yung critical points. Sa number 1 na example, okay, in this example, sa number 1, walang critical point. Sa number 2, it's x equals 10. Sa number 3, it's x equals negative 1/3 and x equals positive 1. Okay? So, in these examples, we are asked to find the extrema, okay, of the given functions on the given interval, either the maximum or the minimum, okay, values or extreme values. So we may have a minimum, we may have the maximum values, okay? So in this case, ipakita natin yung graph para mas malinaw, okay? In this case, find the extrema of the given function on the given interval. So first, we have the function 5x minus 3 at the closed interval -2, positive 2. Okay? In this case, ito yung graph ng ating function. Okay? At x equal to -2, the value of the function is -13. Ma'am, paano nakuha yung -13? All you have to do is to substitute this values, yung -2 and +2, to the given function. Okay? Para ma-identify nyo. Kasi di ba kanina, ang hinanap ninyo ay critical points. Yung critical points na yon para ma-identify ninyo kung minimum or maximum ba yung nasa point na yon, ang gagawin nyo ay isa-substitute nyo yung critical point na nahanap ninyo doon sa original na function. Okay? Second, at x equals positive 2, the value of the function is 7. Okay? So in this case, the maximum, okay, the maximum of f or the function 5x minus 3 occurs at x. Mali. Tama. The maximum of f occurs at x x equals x equals positive 2. Pag sinabi nating maximum, siya yung pinakamataas na peak ng graph. Okay? So in this case, or in this interval, the maximum is positive 2. Okay? I-construct natin ng maayos. The maximum of f or the given function occurs at x equals positive 2 and has a value of 7. Okay? And the minimum of the given function occurs at x equals -2 and has a value of -30. Okay? So yun po yung pag-state. Okay? Let's have the second example. So find the extrema of the given function on the given interval. So we have the given function x squared minus 20x plus 100 at 9 and 12, or the interval or the closed interval 9 to 12. Okay? So this is the graph of the function. We have, okay, if the value of x is equal to 9, the value of the function is equal to 1. Okay? If x is equal to negative if x is equal to 12, the value of the function is positive 4. Okay? So in this case, the maximum value, okay, the maximum value of f occurs at x equals 12 with the value or has a value of positive 4. Okay? Bakit hindi natin pwedeng i-consider yung 0.91 as the maximum value? It's because there is another point or another part of the graph which is yung tawag dito, mas mataas pa sa kanya. Okay? So we cannot consider this as our maximum point. Pag sinabi nating maximum, siya yung pinaka-peak or pinakamataas na ng graph. Kaya nga, the minimum point is where in this graph? Can we consider the 0.91 as our minimum point? Di ba hindi? Okay? Kasi we still have this one. And in this case, since siya yung pinaka-lowest point ng graph, and take note, sabi natin kanina, nung kinuha natin yung critical point, okay? Di pa yung lumabas doon ay x equals 10. So, ibig sabihin, doon sa nakuha nating critical point, there is a possibility na either siya yung maximum or minimum point. Okay? And in this example, yung x equals 10 is our minimum point. Okay? The minimum point, okay, occurs at x equals 10, which has a value of 0. Kasi mapapansin ninyo, di ba nasa x-axis siya. Yung coordinates ng point na ito ay 0, 10. Okay? So, hindi po yung point 91 yung ating minimum point, but the point 0, 10. Since siya yung pinaka-lowest, okay, peak ng graph. Okay po, so I hope nakikita natin kung paano gumagana yung paghanap ng critical points, critical values, and how we optimize these things. Okay, so let's have the example number 3. We have the function x cubed minus x squared minus x minus 10 at the closed interval -1 to +1. Okay? In this case, okay, so recall that the critical values of f, di ba nung sinolve natin, are x equals -1/3 and x equal to +1. Now, so to determine the maximum point, we simply substitute. Okay? Kasi kung mapapansin natin sa graph ng function, etong points na to, since it both occur at -11 or y equals -11, this here will be considered as our minimum point. Okay? Sila yung ating minimum point with the coordinates of -1 to -11, -1, -11, and 1, -11. Sila yung ating minimum point since sila yung pinaka-lowest peak ng ating graph. Okay? So tandaan nyo, yung isa sa mga critical points natin is at x equals 1. Okay? Okay, Eto, since the interval is from -1 to +1, we also have here another minimum point that occurs at -1, -11. Okay? Now, ma'am, paano natin mahanap yung critical point? I mean, yung maximum point. Yung x equals 1, nagamit na natin. Wherein, kapag ang value ng x is equal to 1, meron siyang minimum point. Okay? So, tandaan, sabi natin, sa mga critical, okay? So, to determine the critical point or one of the maximum point, so ang gagawin natin is to simply substitute. Dito sa original function, ano po? Sige, substitute natin. We have, yung ano lang naman, -1/3. So, -1/3 is equal to -1/3 cube minus -1/3 squared minus -1/3 minus 10. Okay? So this one is -1/27 minus, ito -1/3 squared is +1/9 times negative, so 1/9. Negative times negative is positive, so we have +1/3 minus 10. Okay? So simplifying the equation or evaluating or simplifying each terms. So, ang makukuha natin dito, kung natatandaan niyo pa kung paano mag-solve ng fractions. So, all we have to do is to determine first the LCV. So, 27 divided by 27 is 1 times -1 is -1. 27 divided by 9 is 3 times -1 is -3. 27 divided by 3 is 9 times 1 is 9. Then 27 times 100. Kasi 1 lang naman yung denominator niya. So 27 divided by 1 is 27 times 10 is -207. So simplifying, we have 27. Ito, -4 plus 9 is +5. +5 minus 270 is -265. So the value, I mean the maximum point, okay? Sige, tanggalin ko lang. Ay, hindi. Palitan ko na lang yung color ng akin. So in this case, this point or ito decimal values na nakikita nyo is actually the points -1/3 and 265/27 negative. Okay? So yung coordinates ng point na to is -1/3, -265/27. So the maximum point occurs at x equal to -1/3 with the value of -265/27, while the minimum points, okay, are -1, -11, and +1, -11. Okay? So I hope this is clear. Okay? Then let's proceed with this one. So it is possible to optimize the value of y by controlling the value or which time value or yung time t natin, okay, wherein you will measure y. So di ba yung ginagawa natin sa mathematical modeling, so recall, functions are used to describe physical phenomena. Okay? So for example, the number of people Y in a certain area that is infected by an epidemic after some time, okay? Ano dito yung independent at dependent variable? Okay? The dependent variable is the Y or yung number of people in a certain area, while the independent variable is the time. Okay? Na lumilipas habang nagpo-progress yung number of days, weeks, or months, ilan na yung nagiging infected, okay, in a particular area. We just have to determine ano ba yung dependent at independent variable in the given problem. Okay? So before we solve application problems, let me first give you some tips in solving optimization problems. First is, if possible, draw a diagram of the problem para mas nakikita natin yung scenario. Okay? Second, bago pala, kapag in-illustrate mo kasi yung problem, mas madali mong makita kung ano yung hinahanap mo. Okay? Second is to assign variables to all unknown quantities involved. 'Di ba palagi naman natin itong ginagawa. We represent the variables that we use in the given problem. Okay? Third is specify the objective function. Okay? This function must be continuous. Okay po. So, ibig sabihin, identify the quantity, say Q. Okay? Alin ba yung kailangan mong i-maximize or i-minimize na bagay in the given problem? Second, mag-formulate ka ng equation involving Q and other quantities. Okay, wherein you will express Q in terms of a single variable, say X. Okay, and if necessary, use the information given and relationships between quantities to eliminate some variables. Okay, then the objective function will be, okay, maximize Q is equal to f of X or minimize Q equal to f of X. So, yun lang naman yung gagawin. Okay? Meron pa. Number 4 tips or number 4 tip. So, determine the domain or constraints of Q from the physical restrictions of the problem. Okay? The domain must be closed and bounded in the given interval. And lastly, use appropriate theorems involving extrema to solve the problem. Make sure also to give the exact answers, okay, with appropriate units to the questions. Kasi kung walang unit of measurement yan, ibig sabihin it's just a number. Okay? Yan. Now, let's have an example. Okay? So sabi dito sa number 1, assume the decrease in a person's blood pressure depends on the amount of a particular drug taken by the person. Thus, if X milligrams of the drug is taken, the decrease in blood pressure is a function of X. Okay? Now, suppose that F defines this function. F of X is equal to 1/2 X squared times the quantity K minus X. And X is in the interval or the closed interval 0, K, where K is a positive constant. Determine the value of X that causes the greatest decrease in blood pressure. Okay? Take note, yung X natin dito is the independent variable, while the dependent variable is the blood pressure. Since meron naman ng binigay na mathematical model, all we have to do is to, okay, solve for this one. Okay? Sige. Dito tayo sa sunod na slide. We have f of x is equal to 1/2 x squared times k minus x. Tama ba? Tapos yung interval is from 0 to k. Ang tanong lang naman dito, determine the value of x. Okay? Or yung critical value that will cause the greatest decrease in the blood pressure. Okay? Siyempre, yung 0, hindi naman na pwede. Okay? Sige, let's compute first. The first thing that we have to do again in determining the critical value is to get the first derivative. Pero bago natin kunin yung first derivative, let us first simplify the given function. Okay, so we have 1/2 x squared. I-insert ko na yung k. 1/2 k x squared minus 1/2 x cubed. Okay? So ito na yung ating simplified function. Now, let's determine the first derivative. So we have 1/2. Ilabas ko na din yung k since k is a constant, sabi sa problem. So 1/2 k times derivative of x squared is 2x minus 1/2. Derivative of x cubed is 3x squared. So this will be magiging siyang 2kx over 2 minus 3x squared over 2. Okay? Okay. So this will be, ito cancel na to. So we have kx minus 3x squared over 2. Equate natin sa 0 para ma-identify natin yung value ng x. Okay? So first thing, we can factor out, ano po, x. Anong ibig sabihin? We have 0 equal to x times k minus 3x over 2. Equate both factors to 0. So we have x equal to 0 and k minus 3x over 2 equal to 0. Ito, okay na to. Ito yan. Okay? So to solve this one, di ba yung k natin is a constant? So pwede nating ilipat. Okay? So we have negative 3x over 2 equal to negative k. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal. Kasi gusto nating isolve yung value ng x, di ba? Or hanapin yung critical value. So all we have to do is to multiply negative 2 over 3 para ma-cancel natin itong coefficient ng x. So negative 2 over 3. So maka-cancel to. Matitira ay x. Negative k times negative 2 over 3k is positive 2 over 3k. So therefore, sabi sa problem, determine the value of x that causes the greatest decrease in blood pressure. So in this case, the value of x that causes the greatest decrease in blood pressure is x equal to 2 over 3k. Baka may magtanong, ma'am, ano yung value ng k? Hindi naman sa atin hinahanap kung ano yung value ng k. So, okay na to, sagot natin. Okay? We are not asked to determine the value of k. We are only asked to determine the value of x that causes the greatest decrease in the blood pressure. Okay? So I hope it is clear, or example number 1 is clear. Or problem number 1 ba yan? Let's have problem number 2. Okay? So sabi dito, a piece of wire 10 feet long is cut into 2 pieces. One piece is bent into the shape of a circle and the other one into the shape of a square. How should the wire be cut so that the combined area of the two figures is as small as possible? Okay? So, paano natin to i-solve? Okay? We have the following given information or i-represent natin yung variable. Ano po? So, we let x be the length of cut for the circle and 10 minus x be the length of cut for the square. Alalahanin nyo, yung length ng entire wire is 10 feet long. Okay? So, 10 feet. Kaya yung value ng square natin is 10 minus x. Now, for the circle, alalahanin nyo, yung formula ng circumference ng circle is equal to 2 pi r. Since we let x be the cut of the circle, so magiging ang circumference niya is equal to x. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, x equal to 2 pi r will give us the value of the radius equal to x over 2 pi. Okay? Now, to determine the area of the circle, isa-substitute lang natin yung value ng r doon sa formula ng area of the circle, which is given by pi r squared. So the area of the circle is x squared over 4 pi. Ganito yung pi ko. 4 pi. Sige, ayusin ko lang. 4 pi. Diba? Nawala. Sige, balik. Okay? So 4 pi. For the square, same lang naman. Ano yung perimeter ng square? Diba we have 4s. Okay? Then sabi natin, length of cut for the square is equal to 10 minus x. So equate natin yung 4s sa 10 minus x. Then, this will give us the value of s equal to 10 minus x all over 4. And substituting the value of s to the formula of the area of the square, this will give us s squared equal to 10 minus s, 10 minus s, 100 minus 20x plus x squared all over 16. In-expand na po, in-evaluate na yung s squared or yung 10 minus x all over 4 squared. Kaya ito yung naging sagot. Okay? Sige, let's compute for the combined area as small as possible. Okay? Okay, pakita natin yung... Ang gagawin natin is to simply add, sabi nga, combine, di ba? Add the areas of the two figures. So the area is equal to the area of the circle plus the area of the square. Yung area ng circle natin ay x squared over 4 pi plus the area of the square is 100 minus 20x plus x squared all over 16. Okay? The next thing that we have to do is to determine the derivative of each term. Okay? So, yung a prime of x, since with respect to x siya, okay? Or pwedeng gamitan natin siya ng ibang symbol. Wala din namang problema. Gamitin natin yung dy over dx, or since area ito, we can use dA over dx. Okay? The derivative, isuway mo na. So, 4 pi. The derivative of x squared is 2x plus 1 over 16. The derivative of a constant is 0. The derivative of negative 20x is negative 20. The derivative of x squared is 2x. So, simplifying, we have, ito mga cancel. This will give us x over 2 pi plus 22. So this will give us negative 10 plus x over 8. Okay? Next is, di ba, after we determine the first derivative, we equate the first derivative to 0. So equate natin to 0. Okay? Then multiply both sides by the LCD. So in this case, yung LCD niya ay 8 pi. Okay? So we have 0, 8, x. So this will be x over 4. Tama? Nakakancel yung pi. 8 divided by 2 is 4. Tama. And here, makakancel yung 8. So this will be pi times negative 10 plus x. Okay? Ay, may mali. Hindi pala x over 4. Since mas malaki yung 8 pi, so ang sagot lang dito ay 4x. Apologies for my mistake. Okay? So next is, i-distribute natin ito. We have 0 equal to 4x plus, minus 10 pi. Ay, hindi. Itabi tuloy natin yung variable x. So, plus pi x minus 10 pi. Okay? Since pi is an irrational number, ano po, so pwede natin siyang ilipat dito sa kabilang side ng equality symbol. So this will give us 4x plus pi x equal to positive 10 pi. Then we can factor out x. Now we have x is times 4 plus pi equals 10 pi. Then divide both sides by 4 plus pi. 4 plus pi. So maka-cancel. This will give us the value of, ang laki, wait lang. Liit-liitan ko lang. So we have x is equal to 10 pi over 4 plus pi. So ibig sabihin, the value or the length of the wire to be cut, to create a circle is equal to 10 pi over 4 plus pi, or approximately 4.4 feet. Okay? Yan yung sa circle. Sa square, all we have to do is to substitute the value of x doon sa 10 minus x. So this will give us 10 minus 10, or pwedeng ito na lang, itong approximation. Para makita na natin yung original na number. Ay, sige, huwag na tuloy. Ito muna. So, 10 pi over 4 plus pi. This will give us 40 over 4 plus pi. Or approximately, okay, yung sa circle, ang wire is 4.4 feet. While for the square, the wire should be cut 5.6 feet to create a square. Okay? I hope that is clear. Now, to minimize the length of the wire to create a circle and square, dapat yung length for the square is 4.4 feet, while for the square it's 5.6 feet. Okay? So that's all for this video. Okay? I hope that we were able to achieve the objectives presented for this lecture video. Ano po? So I hope you learned something and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.